I think, do we need to switch off the light or?
No,
I feel like
The view is good.
switch.
If somebody is recording, then the light is okay. It's better. So,
Okay, we have one. Okay, then you want.
okay. I'm really grateful to these few good friends of mine to be here. Okay, I was expecting more than that, but it's okay. So sometimes less is also good. Okay? So we can have a face-to-face discussions on this way. Okay. How many of you are in GP2, or means in the final semester? Final semester. Final semester. So you guys are in third year or which?
Second, maybe.
Maybe.
Sixth.
Okay. So okay. So alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Thank you for joining us. Jazakallah khair. Okay. So we just started. Okay. So if most of you are from GP2, means you are already writing your part 2 of the graduation project, so maybe you will be familiar with most of the things from this presentation, okay, what I'm going to present. But still, there is always something to learn from anything we sit together, we discuss together. You can use this information in future to write some technical reports and all these things. Maybe, or still you can improve your GP2 even, based on your experience. Second thing is that this presentation, of course, if you see the title, it's focusing on the report writing. Okay? But I'm presenting something to you. Okay? So you can learn something other than the report writing. And what could be that? What do you think? What do you think? There's another learning which goes on over here.
Presentation?
Yeah, the presentation itself. So just have a look on my presentation. I'm not saying that I'm a very good presenter, okay? So you can say, even if you say it's a bad presentation, that means you learned something, that how does a bad presentation looks like. Is that right? So you learned something. That means you should not make a presentation like this. You should make something better than that. So you will learn something even if it's not for report writing, okay? So this is how a bad presentation looks like. So don't make like that. Make a good presentation, okay? So the topic, you are familiar with that, common mistakes in report writing and their corrections. Why do I say common mistakes? This means these are the mistakes you guys have been doing, okay? So, but I'm sure you learn from your mistakes, you come up with good solutions, and then you do not repeat those mistakes now. So we'll be focusing on mainly engineering training and graduation project. As we proceed with the presentation, you will see I'll show you some real photos of real pages from your engineering training reports and from your graduation projects which you have submitted before. Okay, and please don't mind if somebody sees his own report here. Okay, so I have tried to highlight, hide the names so that it's not shown to everybody. Okay, but it's not going to be with any name. Okay, okay. So of course, once you do the mistakes, it's a good thing. Okay? That means you are trying, you're doing something. Okay, so but let me share something with you guys that when I was a student, I made a homework assignment, okay, and at that time we didn't have computers, so I need to write all the assignment with my hand. So I was solving a problem, and at some point I got some issue. I thought that no, it should not be done like this way. So I cancelled that. Of course, there was no delete button over there, so I had to cancel it out, and then I solved it again. And then a friend of mine, he asked me to give my my homework, my assignment. He wanted to copy actually, so to submit the same homework. He took from me, and you know what he did? Once he reached up to that level where I write something and I cross it out and do it again, he did the same thing. Okay, so he write it out and then he cancel it out. I asked him, why did you do that? He said, once you copy everything. Okay, so that's what he did actually. So if you're doing mistakes, that means you are trying something. You're trying to learn something. Okay, but the point is, if you are learning from your mistakes, you are a wise guy. Okay. So, but if you are repeating the same mistake again and again, that means I don't want to say that word, okay? So we fall into that category if we are repeating the same mistake. So do the mistakes, learn from the mistakes, but don't repeat them, okay? Learn something out of it. Come out of positive things, better things.
Invent new mistakes.
Yeah. And of course, once you are students, be careful, you are being watched, okay? So you are being observed. So it's a part of the life. You are here as a student, you are observed. for your grades, for your marks, everything like that. Once you are professionals, again, somebody is watching you. It's not, the game is not over, okay? So you have to submit the reports to somebody, and somebody's gonna see it. So that means you have to be careful with that. For example, if I take an example over here, some of the students at the end of the report, they think, oh, why did I get B? Why did one of my friend got A plus and all these things? They have complaints. Because they don't focus on this thing that they have something being marked over here which is focusing on the report writing. Okay? There is some points, special points for report writing, along with other all details. So similarly for your GP or engineering training, again, you can see there is some portion of the points is going to what? It's going to the report writing. So if you are doing a lot of mistakes in report writing and all these things, that means you are losing your points. Okay? So that's why your grade is different from your friend of yours. Okay? So please be careful with these things. You have distribution for that. What I'm going to discuss today with you guys is, what I'm not going to discuss with you guys today is the contents of engineering training and the GP report. You already know what are the contents of the report. Chapter 1, Chapter 2, 3, 4, what should we write in each chapter, abstract, references, all these things. Similarly, if you see the guides, the college guides, you know what are the requirements for the font size, what should be the type of the font, the line spacing, paragraph spacing, all these things. It is given in your college guides. We don't need to tell you these things. It's available in those guides. Okay. But the problem is the guides are available, but somebody has to look into it. Okay, so you guys have to open that guide to see what are these things. So unfortunately, what we have been seeing in many of the engineering training reports as well as graduation projects, we have observed that students are not following the guide itself. So if you follow the guide, actually 70-80% of the mistakes will already be gone. Okay, so let's see some of the mistakes regarding the contents and the format. Although I said that my talk is not about that, but because you're doing it. So when I say you means you are juniors now. You are no more there. So you are one step ahead of that. Okay. So let's see them. Let's start with the first impression. Okay. So the first impression means I am the one who is looking at your report. So the first thing I'm going to see is what? Is the title page. Is that right? So if we see something like this in your title page, where one of the person is having a format like that, another one is having a different format, that means something is going wrong. That means they have not consulted the engineering training as well as the graduation project guide. So we have given to you guys a standard title page format. Okay, so please follow that. For example, if you see over here, do you see this borderline? Nowhere we have asked the students to make this borderline. Okay, so, but they are doing it, they are using it. Of course, if you are a professional engineer over there, maybe sometimes there are no guidelines at all. You can make the report as the way you like, okay? But do it once you are free to do that. Don't do these things once you are given some guidelines. For example, in future, you go for higher studies, you may write some research papers for certain journals or something like that. So if you are submitting a paper to a journal has its own guidelines for the font size, for the line spacing, even for the figure size, even for the resolution of the figure, okay, and all these things. So you have to follow everything what they have asked you. So in our guides, we have given you some samples. Do not do like that way. Then if some text is written like engineering training report, we didn't underline it over there. Don't underline. You should not also underline that. Okay. So underlining, sometimes making it bold, sometimes small, sometimes bringing the logo here, sometimes here. Don't do that. Just follow what is being given in the guideline. Okay. So you can see two different reports over here. Even the name of the university. So you have to follow or write the standard name of the university, where it is there's no hyphen in the center, and the word Muhammad normally it's written as U, but as a standard we have to write it as M-O. Okay, and these kind of things. Sometimes they write Ibn, sometimes they write Ben. So be consistent with the name. A small thing, but it makes what? The first impression. Secondly, your name, date of submissions with a standard format, and all these things. Okay, so be consistent. Follow the guides. Then the second impression. What do you think is the second impression? As you open up the report, the second impression is even worse than what we expect. So second impression is your table of contents, okay, of the report. Now, interestingly, the word itself is table of contents. So what you guys do is you make the table. Okay, table of contents does not mean to make a table and then put the information in that. It means just what? It means list of the contents. Okay, so the standard format is something like this, of course. It's a list of the contents. It's not to make a table and show it like that way. Then it's one example, it's another example. You can see over here it's in a table, and then you have centrally aligned text over here, paste in the center, table of contents in a different way. So do not do like that way. Follow a standard uniform way. Okay. Another thing over here, if you see in this case, so you can see the mistakes already because I took the real pictures from old reports. Okay. The first capital thing, like over here, sometimes your first is capital, sometimes it's not. So just be consistent with that. Okay. And yeah, the most interesting thing is chapter number 3, page number 7. Chapter number 4, page number 7. Chapter number 5, page number 7. MashaAllah. So somebody is too genius to cover all the 3 chapters in one page. Okay. So try to expand what you write. Okay. Try to explain more. Okay. Okay. So what is the advice here? For these things, I just gave you a hint of. It's not a topic, my topic today, but I gave you a hint that please, you have to consult the guides. Okay, they are for you. They are not for us. Okay, they are made for you. The training guides, the project guides, and all these things. If you read them, just like I said before, your 60-70% of the mistakes will be gone. Will not be there. Okay. Okay. So again, today we are not here to discuss. You may think that we are not here to discuss. We are not here to discuss. Then why we are here? Okay. So we are here to discuss something after this. So another thing is about the grammar and the punctuation. Of course, you guys have taken English 201, and I'm sure most of you guys have A+ in that. Am I right? Okay, so you are expert of English writing. So grammar and punctuation, again, the problem, why it happens, it's not about I'm saying that you can't write or you have weaknesses in writing. What I'm trying to say over here that once you write, you don't read it again. So you write and then you think it's over. So once you write something, you have to give it at least one read. Okay, that will identify all of your mistakes, what you have done over there. Like small things, comma over here, then is, and then full stop. I don't know, how can I read it? Environment is. And what's that? Like daily attendance, and then comma goes, need some space. I don't know, the comma likes to go away. Okay, so, and then over here, the full stop is here. So these kind of things, first cap, comma, no full stop at the end. These kind of things. They're very small matters, but once you're submitting professional reports, they give a very bad impression. Okay, so just try to, the only solution for that is, I know you know these things. The problem is, once you write the draft, you don't read it again. So read it, you will find these mistakes, you will get rid of these mistakes. Okay, so, okay. Yeah, comma, technical English writing. So you can see how comma is important. If you read this line, what message you get? Let's eat Abdullah. So can you eat Abdullah? Okay, so comma, the problem was with the comma. So if you put comma in the right place, it can save one life. Abdullah can be saved. Okay? So nobody will eat Abdullah. Okay, so let's eat Abdullah. Okay, so just like these things in Arabic also, where to stop and where not to stop. It can change the whole meaning. Okay? Same thing is in English. Okay? Yeah, I like cooking my family and my pets. Wow. So somebody likes to cook his family and his pets. Okay. The problem is with the comma. I like cooking, I like my family, and I like my pets. Comma is creating the problem. So if you use comma, they can save lives. Okay. So use commas properly. They can save lives. Sure. Okay. Sit down. So now let's come to the point. What will we learn today? Just for the new guys, I will send this presentation to Mr. Muaz, and he will share it with you. It's better to concentrate, and you will have all this with your child. Okay. So what we are going to learn, inshallah, is the most common technical mistake. I highlighted the word technical because we are not going to focus on grammar and punctuations and the contents and all these things. Okay. While you are writing your reports, again, I want to say that don't just think within the box that we are focusing on training report and GP. GP is just like, these two things are just kind of the contents of this college. Okay? Just think out of the box. It's just applicable to anything you write in future as well as a professional report. Okay? And of course, and I'll tell you how to avoid these mistakes. Of course, the objective is to give your presentations, your reports a professional look. Okay? Yeah, let's check your IQ level here. Can you find the mistake? Can you guys find the mistake here?
In which line?
I just want to check your IQ level. Mr. Moaz, can you find the mistake? Of course, I'm focusing here in this part.
Number 3.
So what's the mistake?
The color.
Color. Okay.
To the find the mistake.
Yes. So you see, Once you read it twice,
yes.
this is the problem. We don't read twice. I think he read it twice. Okay, so he got the mistake. So yeah, da and da. Okay, it's repeated. So at the first look, you guys were focusing here, the color. Okay, I didn't say anything about that we should use black color, blue color, green color. So there's no guideline. So colors are okay, good, fine enough. Okay, because as far as there is no guideline, they are fine. If you read it again, you will find the mistake. One more time. Can you find the mistake? There's one more.
Yes, the distance between the two lines.
Okay. Did I tell you some descriptions of that? That this should be the spacing?
Yes, negative line.
Not here. Yeah. Anybody else? Can you find mistake?
In this box, just for this book.
Yeah. Can you find mistake in this box?
The
I
bold
do
line.
Mistake itself.
Yeah.
The word mistake.
Yeah.
itself.
That's another good answer. The mistake itself. I said, can you find the mistake? This is the mistake. Okay. So as simple as that. So try to come out of the box. Think out of the box. You will find a lot of new things. Okay. So this is mistake. Okay. So we got 2 mistakes here. That's good. Let's move on. Okay. The first thing, of course, I should share it as a second impression. The first impression is your table of is your title page. Second impression is your table of contents. The third impression is somebody wants to read your abstract. Okay, an abstract is called as an executive summary. Problem with the students is we just write in the guides that we write this word for you guys to understand that what is the meaning of abstract. Abstract is an executive summary. So they keep it like that way over there also. So over there you should write either executive summary or abstract. Write just one word. Don't write both. This is what we explain to you guys that this is the meaning of abstract. Okay, don't just repeat it over there. Now, my question is when to write the abstract? What do you think? Once you start writing your reports, or at the end, once you have done your reports, you are finished with everything?
In the start.
In the start.
And then
At the end.
The introduction and the start and
Okay.
And then
Yeah, actually, option number 2. It should be, yeah, it can evolve as you keep on writing, but the best time to write the abstract is at the end. Why? Because the word itself is executive summary. It means what was your topic, what did you do, and what was the results of what you have done. Okay, so it's going to summarize of all your work. So do not start writing your abstract until you finish your report. Of course, if you focus now on GP1 and GP2, you will say, oh, GP1 is not finished. But you ask us to write the abstract, okay? Still, the meaning of abstract does not mean that you have to conclude some project. This means you have to do what you have been assigned to do. So in GP1, you were given some tasks, is that right, by your advisor. This is what we are going to do in this part of the project. So you know where to start and where to end in GP1. So that is a summary of that. Okay, so you can still write a complete abstract by the end of GP1 as well. Okay, don't wait for the GP2. You can write abstract for GP1 and then in GP2 it will be refined. Why? Because you will have something more to be done and then you will have some more results, more findings and more conclusions or recommendations. Okay? Yeah.
it's the same as a conclusion.
Yeah, it's same as conclusions, but it's bit summarized. Conclusions can go to like 2-3 pages, okay? But abstracts are never more than 1 page or 2 or 3 paragraphs, maximum like that, okay? But it depends on abstract of what. For example, if I talk about abstract of a journal paper, normally they restrict you to 200 words, 150 to 200 words. So, you know, when you're writing the paper, the most difficult part is to write the abstract. Because explaining the things is very easy, okay? But making the things short and precise is very difficult. To give the message in few lines, in few words, is not easy. To explain a lot of things in pages is easy, okay? So writing an abstract is not easy. It needs a lot of thinking, and you should have a hold of what you have done. You should know what you have done. Then you'll be able to write a good abstract, okay? The best way to write an abstract, I will give you a kind of a suggestion over here, is that if you keep these 2 things in your mind, you will write a good abstract for sure. Number 1 is that, so what's the first point? So it says that, what if the reader is very busy? Think like that way. Don't write too long, lengthy things. He's busy, for example, okay? And most of the readers are busy, okay? So then, what if the reader has only access to the abstract, okay? So, for example, I just want to see, I'm not your advisor, but I want to see what you have done in your report. Can I read like 100 pages for you and to see what you have done? Of course no. So the abstract is the best content of your report, which can give me an idea what you have done. So I will read the abstract and I will get the message, what you have done. So read it, write it like the way that, just imagine that the reader has no access to your other part of the report. he can just get the idea from your abstract. Okay. Yeah, this is how you should write the abstract. They always divide it into 3 sections. Okay, where the first section would be simply expanding your title, means what you have done. Okay, what was the title of your project and why you initiated, what was the need of it. Okay, then the second paragraph or the second section, I'm saying section, it can be 2 paragraphs, okay, but mostly they are 1 paragraph. So 1 paragraph, another, mostly 2 or 3 paragraphs they can make an abstract for a report like that. For a paper, for a journal paper or something like that, maybe it's more smaller, shorter. Second paragraph would explain the procedures. How did you do that? Okay, the first one is what and why. Second is how did you do that? You did some experiments, you did some numerical simulations, you used some software, you used some programs, you did some lab tests, and all these things. Okay, and the third paragraph would be the conclusions, the summary. What did you get out of this study? What was the main? Of course, do not focus on each and every finding. It should be the main findings, the key, important findings of. In your project, you may have 10 bullets, 10 points for conclusions, but over here it should be just few focused points, the main finding of your thesis. If you write like this way, your abstract would be much professional, much better. Okay. I just took a real example of an abstract from one of our reports. Okay. So it says that the training was held in Saudi electric company, blah blah blah. Okay, is it an abstract? So this is what we asked you guys to go to this company and complete an 8 weeks engineering training. Okay, this is already been asked to you guys. Okay, so this is not what we are looking for. What did you do over there? How did you do it? And what did you learn out of it? That's a summary of that. Similarly, you can apply it to the project. Okay, what was your title? Expand it. What did you do in your project? And then at the end, what did you find? What did you get out of your project? Okay, so do not just write what you already have in the guides and all these things. Another example. Maybe in terms of the contents, this is a good abstract. He tried to write what, how, and finally the main conclusions. But the problem is, in abstract, do not use the bullets. Okay? Never use bullets. It's not conclusion. It's not like some explanation of the points. It should be in paragraphs. Is that right? You can see over here the bullets. The first problem. Second is never use I, we, they in your abstract. Okay? Like you write over here, I have completed 8-week period of training at IPSA. What's the best way to write it? It should be like this, that an 8-week period of training at IPSA was completed. That's all. And for sure, it's by you. There's no need to emphasize that I did it. We know that you did it, okay? So this is not required over here. So just use the passive voice, okay? Don't use the active voice. So that's one of the major problems in our reports. We are using these I, we, and never use it. Did you ever saw the word I or we in your books? No. The books are written by some authors, some human beings. They're not written by jinns, am I right? Okay, so they are written by authors, and they never said, I explained this figure like that way, okay? So this figure has been explained, is explaining, and these kind of things. So use the passive voices, okay? Yeah, and be careful with the first cap and all these things, and try to use paragraphs, first, second, third, okay? Don't use the bullets. So if you do that, hopefully you are done with your good abstract job, yeah?
Should one paragraph from, or we can?
Just like I said before, it depends on what is your target. If you are writing the GP report or the summer training report, it's recommended to have 2 to 3 paragraphs. Okay, the first section is what, second is how, and finally the last findings, the findings. But if you, like I said, if you're writing for a journal paper, normally they restrict you to 200 words only. So 200 words, you cannot make 3 paragraphs. Okay, it has to be 1 paragraph. Then. Okay, so it depends what's your focus, where you're going to submit that. Okay. Yeah, and the problem again, you write something and you don't read it, but you want us to read it. Why? This is unfair, is that right? Okay. So what you have written, you don't want to read it, but you want your professor to read that. Okay. So please read it once. If you read it once, you will find the mistake. Okay, you will find it. Okay. So.
Okay. Question.
Yeah.
The first point is right or is not?
Yeah, as far as this engineering training is concerned, it's not that bad statement. It's okay. You can, because he's trying to explain why this training is required. Yeah. So he's writing that it's one of the requirements of the graduation. So it's not that bad statement. You can continue with that. The only problem is over here, okay, and then trying to make it a paragraph and something like that.
Can we put one?
Actually, why I'm here today is to show you the mistakes. I just want to say, don't do this. Do anything other than that, okay? So, and that's going to be a good example, okay? So that's what I'm, because there are a lot of good examples, but I'll show you one after that. Okay. Okay. Let's talk about the tables, figures, and the charts. This is a very serious issue in our reports. Okay. Okay. Just imagine. Okay. I just stand here and I imagine me as a student and you as my advisors. Okay. And I start explaining to you as this is what I have done. This is the results of my findings. What's your impression about this? How would you feel? I just start talking about this. The density of the material was that. This is the result of this. This is the result of that. Can you see anything? You can't. Okay. So if you can't see anything, then what are you trying to explain? What I'm trying to show. You have a lot of figures, a lot of charts, a lot of tables in your thesis, in your reports, in your training guides, which nobody can read it. If no one can read it, then what's the objective of showing it? To whom you want to show it? Okay. So this is one of the major issues in our reports, and I'll tell you what are the main issues and how to solve them. Okay, so do not present your things like that way. Okay, okay. What are your common mistakes in tables and in data sheets? Number one is the captions, the title. Either they are missing or they are inappropriate. Means they are not written in a good way. Okay, or they are completely not there. They are missing. You have a table. It has nothing above or below it. What is this table about? And you have some columns and rows, and they don't have any titles. Nobody knows what this data is showing. What is it all about? You just have a data, a long list of data. Okay, I'll show you real examples after that. Then sometimes you have large, huge quantity of data. You are using some numerical simulations, some softwares. Softwares can generate a lot of data. Okay, so. But the point is where to put that data, how to use that data. If it's for design purpose, use it for design, and then there's no need to show everything in your reports. Okay? And if it's so necessary to show this data, then show it in the appendix. You have the last section, show it over there. Don't make it the main part of your report, if it's not that necessary. You have a lot of symbols in the tables, which sometimes even you don't know. Okay? So unexplained symbols. If you have symbols, they need to be explained. Because symbols is a symbol. It's just like a given name to some quantity of data. Like for stress, we use a symbol what? Sigma? Okay. But who decided that for the stress, the symbol should be sigma? It's we decided. If you are saying it as sigma, somebody can say it as psi or phi. What's wrong with that? If I say the stress is phi, is there anything wrong in that? Nothing. Until and unless I don't explain it, there is something wrong. But if I explain it, everything is fine. Give any symbol you like. So if you have symbols, nobody knows that this symbol has this meaning. Explain it. Okay? Rounding off numbers. Sometimes.
Explain, Doctor, within the report, within the writing, or there is special page for.
Yeah, there is just like we have list of figures, we have list of tables. Similarly, we have list of abbreviations or list of symbols. But of course, we need to explain only those symbols which are not standard ones. There are some symbols, normally they have become almost standard symbols. Like for normal stress, always you're going to use sigma. For shear stress, always you're going to use tau. Okay? For unit weight, you're always going to use gamma, something like that. So they are almost standard symbols. But once you have some special symbols in your projects, in your reports, explain them in list of tables, list of abbreviations. Okay? There are some abbreviations also. If you are using the word ASTM, it's a standard symbol. No need to explain that. But if you have some own special abbreviations in your project, explain them first. Okay? Rounding off numbers. Sometimes 1.1, sometimes 1.1003, sometimes 1.180. Come on, be consistent with the number of decimals. Of course, it depends on what type of data you have, how many decimals you need. That's another story. But how many decimals you need, that's okay. But how many numbers you need, that's up to you. So round off and round off to a consistent way for all the same numbers. I'll show you after this real example. Then you have long tables sometimes, and they are just jumping to the next page. And once they go to the next page, nobody knows what is in this column, what is in this column. So you can't read anything. I'll show you again some example. And of course, you have tables, you have charts in your reports, and nowhere you mention it in the text. It's not mentioned anywhere. That table 1 is presenting or is showing this information. Table 3 is showing this information. We don't find anything over there. I'll show you now a real example. Okay. Let's see that. Okay. So you guys are going to help me to find mistakes in this. Can you? Okay. First of all, if we talk about the caption, caption is fine. Remember, for the table, the caption is always on the top, okay? So above the table. And I use the word caption missing or inappropriate. Inappropriate means it does not reflect what you have presented in the table. You will find in some of our reports, the caption would be like that only. For example, just imagine these words are not there. You just write analysis results. Is this an appropriate caption? No. Analysis results of what? Okay, so it needs some explanation, some description of what you are presenting here. So as far as caption is there, it's fine. You see some symbols. If they are standard symbols, it's okay. If they are not, then explain them here or in the list of abbreviations at least once. Okay, so what is beta? What is H? What is C dash? What is phi dash? Explain. Okay. Another mistake. Can you find it? You see, yeah, you see number of decimals, 1, 1.6, okay, it's fine, but suddenly you write 2, why? It should be 2.0. You have Excel can do it for you. With one click, you can make the number of decimals same, no problem with that, okay? So please be consistent. 1, and then suddenly 1.586, wow, it doesn't suit, okay? So 1.000, write it, okay? Even if it's 0, write it, 2.000, so that they are consistent with that, okay? If I go down now, I'll ask you guys another mistake. It's not a mistake, I'll just tell you how to improve that problem. Okay, now this is long table, it's jumping to the next page. Okay? Now it's jumping to the next page and I want to see something here. It's just a second page is fine, but just imagine if this data is like 7, 8 tables. So I have to go back 7, 8 pages every time to see what is here in this column. Okay? Or I should have a very, very strong memory that I should know that column 1 is this, column 2 is that, column 3 is that. So it's very difficult to go back to the column again and again. And you know, most of you may already know that Word can do it for you. So there's one simple option I can show it to you guys if you don't know that. If you already know, that's good. Just go to the top of the table and select those cells or the rows which you want to be repeated every time on the table. Like this one, for example, I want to repeat this. Okay, I want to repeat it on top of every. One way is, of course, split the table. Make table 1, table 2, but that's a lengthy job again. You have a consistent long data. So the best way is select this cell, then go to this. You see the table cell over here? Okay, just right click. You have table properties. In table properties, you have the row, and you see this one. So just read this line. Repeat as a header row at the top of each page. So if you click this one, so you will see that these rows will be automatically repeated. And this option works equally good in Excel as well. Okay, so in Excel also it works. So if I go to the next page now, I hope it works. So you see that? Okay. So now it's there. And actually, if this table goes to 7, 8, 9 pages, it's automatically very easy to see what's going on in every part.
Okay, if I have different tables.
Yeah, then
but
fine.
I can't. So this way it will not be useful.
No, of course. If you have different tables, then they will have different captions. You have table 4.1, then you will have table 4.2, 4.3, 4.4, separate table. Okay. But what I said is, if you have one table which is long enough with too much data, then use this option. Yeah.
What about there's no caption here? So should
Yeah,
I
no, this is
continuous table?
Yeah, this is the same table. Actually, there's one way, and even Word can do that. It can put something like this over here, continued, okay, with that. But once we see something like this without any caption, and you can see the continuity of the table, normally it's understood that the same table is continuing. But I told you, it's not desirable to have lengthy tables in the main part of the report. Mostly, these kind of tables should go to the appendix. Okay, mostly. Yeah.
The column more.
Then use the landscape. You have another option. And you know, in Word you can make sections of the report, and you can do different page setting for different sections. So if you have, that's a good question. If you have a lot of columns and you can't make it in this way, so just go to. I'll show you that. If you click it here, okay, then go to the layout, and then page setup. And you see over here landscape. But if you just press it landscape, and if you press OK, it's going to change all the report to landscape. Now, what you should do is, you should see over here, apply to, where? Selected text, or after this, okay? Okay. So, see, it didn't change the upper page. This page is changed to the landscape. So, there are options. You can do that. Okay? Okay, I'll go down. Yeah, and what about this table? Let's find the mistakes.
Very small.
Too small.
First thing is very small, so that's good. You can find this. Don't show me a text which even you can't read. So if you can't read, then why should I read? Okay. So second mistake.
The title.
The title or the caption. Okay. It's always on the top. For the table, it's always on the top. Third mistake.
The decimals.
Okay, the parameters must be defined. Another mistake. Decimals. Yeah, that's right. Another one. I just heard the right one's answer from there.
Title is not.
Yeah, it's in a problem. Results. Results of what? Okay, results of grade 3 boys or okay, like that. Results of what? Explain it. So these kind of things. Please do not do these mistakes. If you get rid of it, you come up with. Again, coming back to my point, I'm not showing you the good examples. I'm showing you the bad examples. And if you know the bad examples, you know the good examples. Okay, so you know the solution. Okay, so yeah, let's move to the next one.
Huh?
This is another. Yeah, please. Yeah.
There's a point. Last one.
This one?
Yes.
Yeah, actually I will come to this. Not mention the text with this next, this one, I'll tell you. Okay? Yeah. Can you find the mistakes? I hope you can now. You can see the first, there's no caption. Okay? There's no even explanation, description of that. Table number. Okay, number of decimals. Another mistake is once you are, want to put some tabular data in your reports, do not just cut or copy paste from some material and put it like that way. If they're small table, type it. Make the table in your reports by yourself. Okay? What he has done, I'm sure, is just copied or cut from somewhere and put it here. The problem would be that has its own font size and format. Okay? Your report has its own font size and format. You see now there's a clear difference, which is an odd look to your report. You can see the font size and the bold, and over here the font size is different. So type the table if it's small. Okay? Don't just. And second thing is, if you took it from somewhere, it must have a reference. You should give a reference to it. From where did you take it? It's not your data. Okay? Give the reference over here. And I'll tell you later on how to use the references, how to use that. Okay? Yeah, about not mentioned in the text. You can see over here, it's mentioned here. This is called as mentioning in the text. You see over here that the information shown is in table 1. Okay? But the problem is, he mentioned in the text that the following information has been shown in table 1. But where is table 1? How should I find it? So he didn't mention over here even table 1. Okay? And sometimes you will see opposite. What is opposite? You will write over here table 4.1, but you will never find anything referred in the text. So there's nothing mentioned in the text itself. So it should be here as well as it should be here. This is called as referencing, or referencing in the text. Okay? So, yeah, table caption, reference, this is the main problem with this table. And of course, the text and all these things, you can see that. Okay. Yeah. Well, I took a real, it's a real table, guys. It's a real example. Okay. So, do you like it?
No.
If you don't like it, then why do you want us to see it? Okay. So the problem is we really need a supercomputer. Maybe a supercomputer will say no, I can't do that. Okay. So nobody can read it. So if you have such long lengthy tables, of course not such tables, the better tables. Okay. Move the tables to the appendix. Don't put like them this way. Okay. Now what is this?
Can I move it to appendix?
Yeah.
I mentioned it in.
Yes. And but I said move such tables, not such tables. This is not acceptable at all. If anything in your report is not readable, it's not acceptable. As simple as that. Okay. Yeah. What do you think about this? Again, it's a real report page.
Too much results.
Okay. Too much results. I would say you should say that we are confused. Is it a figure or is it a table?
Yes.
Right. So we can see the figure, we can see the table. Now what should I give the caption? Over here I'm saying table, but I can see some figures. I'm saying over here table figure, but I'm seeing some table. Okay. So actually what happened is that I just need 1 second. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
يوم بديت
Okay. So, you know, what was the problem here? That I know this guy was doing something in Excel, and what did he do is he just took the whole sheet and put it in the table. Okay? So a screenshot, something like that. So do not do these kind of things. If you have tables in Excel, the tables can be exported from Excel to the Word. You can do that. it can be copied. Figures, put them as figures. So figures and tables, they are not same thing, they're different things. So keep them separate always. Okay. And another thing, decimals and kind of the font size, text size. Sometimes you're using some softwares. Okay, and softwares has they can show you this kind of show where you have the tables and the figures together. But once you take it from there, just put it separately, not together. Okay. So that's what I said. We are confused. Is it a table or a figure? Do not just copy paste from Excel. So you have to insert as a table and insert as a figure or an image in the report. Okay.
Teacher, could we use chart instead of tables?
Yeah, it's okay. The word chart or table is fine. Both is fine.
Doctor,
Yeah.
it's, for colors.
Colors? Yeah, for colors, it depends on. You should use those colors which, if they printed in black and white and if printed in color, both should be fine. And this is always the best advice to do. Select those colors which, if you print that in colors, that's fine. Okay, no problem with that. But if you print it in black and white, it should also be visible. Okay, that's why, for example, if you use yellow color, okay, so if you print it in a colored paper, it's going to be okay. But if you print it as a black and white, yellow color will not be visible. Okay, so use the dark gray, light gray, red, and blue, light blue, dark blue, these kind of colors. They are equally good in black as well as in black and white. And sometimes, if you have charts and lines, try to use different line formats. You can have one line as a solid line. You can have another line more thicker than that. You have another line with dotted, another line with dash, something like that. Change the format so that you may keep the color different, but if you print it in black and white, it will be very good to see all the figures. Okay. Okay. Yeah, this one. Yeah. See, somebody was in so hurry that he did not even took the screenshot of the table. He took the screenshot of the whole Excel. Okay. Even I can see. Fortunately, it's not there. Sometimes you can see even what other files were open. Some James Bond 007 movies and these kind of things, they're also running behind, okay? So don't take the screenshots. Sometimes you can show us your personal things as well. Okay, be careful with that. So it has to be only this part. So be careful with screenshot. So somebody was in too hurry, you just took the screenshot, okay? If you don't like it, we also don't like it, okay? So it's natural. Yeah, for the equations. Again, an issue. Although you can see the solution in Arabic also, fortunately. Okay, I don't know if you can read this one. Equations, over here you can see two mistakes, or three mistakes I should say. One is there is no number for equation. Equations should have numbers, okay, according to the chapters, 2.1, equation 2.3, and the numbers of the equations are normally given on the rightmost side. Okay, equation 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. It should have numbers. It should have a number. Because it has a number, it should be referred in the text as well. That the equation 2.1 shows that, 2.3 shows that, 2.5 shows that. Okay. So, second thing is, again, sometimes you have long length equations. You just cut from some book or from paper and put it here. Don't do that. In Word, you have an option of equation editor. You can type the equation in a very good, very professional way. Use that option. Okay. So type the equations. Don't cut and paste. Okay. So, and then the benefit would be once you type it, the font size would be same. But you see over here, he just copied from somewhere. Now this font size and this font size is totally different. Okay? So be consistent with that. So align the center. And one more mistake over here. Once you have an equation, it's better to write below the equation where R equals this, where P equals this, S equals this. Explain what are the contents of this equation. And guys, really, if you try to use your common sense, you can get rid of a lot of problems. You read books on daily basis, and in the books you see the equations, and you see just after the equations they write where S is equal to that, P is equal to that, and even the units. Okay, this is in centimeter, this is in meters, this is in kilometers, like that. You see the units. So apply those things in your reports as well. Okay. Okay. So rewrite the equations using Word editor, and MS Word can do that for you. Okay. Let's see now some mistakes which you do in figures or charts. Number one, just like I showed you before, sometimes they are too small, okay, like of this size. I need a magnifying glass to see it, okay, and sometimes they are too big. I have to squeeze it back, okay, into the paper. So use a reasonable size. Eligible text. You cannot read any text in the figure. What's the use of that? You are putting a figure in the report. I can't see what is being shown in this report. What's the use of that? Don't show anything in your report which you cannot read. Okay, there's no use of that. Okay, unexplained symbols like in tables. You have a lot of symbols, nobody knows what that symbol is. Your axes, titles, you show the figure and you are discussing a lot of things and nobody knows what's on the x-axis, what's on the y-axis. Axis titles are missing. Units, you have mentioned that on x-axis is stress. Stress in which unit? Foot per foot square, pounds per foot square, or kilonewton per meter square. What is that? Express the units. Decimals. Again, sometimes the decimals on x-axis are different, decimals on y-axis are different, use the same decimals. Okay? Figure caption, sometimes missing, sometimes inappropriate. Okay? And again, the same issue, like they are not mentioned in the text. You have a figure, it has to be mentioned in the text. You have mentioned something in the text, it has to be present as a figure or as a table. So cross-check. Okay? Yeah, let's see real examples, good examples. I don't know who is this guy, but fortunately there's no name over here. Okay? What's wrong here? You're going to help me.
Figure.
If somebody is sitting here from this part, I'm sorry for that. Okay? So, what is the mistake here?
The cat.
Yeah?
The name of the fish.
Yeah. So, the problem here is, I don't see figure number. Okay? Figure, it's a figure, it should have a figure number. Second mistake.
We don't want to see the building.
Okay, that's also good. Yeah, we don't want to see the building, that's fine. That's a good point. Yeah.
The size of the...
Size of the figure? Maybe.
No, not the figure, the title.
The title?
It's bigger than...
The title is
Yeah, maybe it looks to me, yeah, it's not the same size, yeah.
1.1.
Okay, yeah, that's what I said.
And should be introduction or...
Yes, that's a very good point. It should be introduction. And actually, in continuation of this point, a simple advice. Never start any text with a figure. Simple advice. You cannot have a figure and then start writing. You should start writing first. Is that right? And then you can have some figures and tables and charts. What is happening over here? You have the chapter number 1 and the first heading, and then immediately there is a figure. It's not an acceptable way of writing. It should be text. In text somewhere you can mention that figure 1 shows the tips are building. Okay, no problem with that. And then you can have the tips are building over here. Okay. What's the problem here?
Space in second program.
The figure.
You see, this is from the same report. I like this guy. On this page, he didn't write the figure number itself and write the caption. And over there, he writes the figure number and he didn't write the caption. Okay, so he's trying to be like stylish. Okay, so don't be stylish in reports. Okay, so we have figure number and then we don't have the caption. Okay, over here we don't have the figure number, we have the caption. So be consistent. Don't do these kind of things. Okay, and another thing, it's not mentioned over here. Figure 1 never mentioned anywhere. Okay, so it has to be mentioned in your text. Okay, yeah, figure captions, references. References. If you're taking it from their website, you have to mention the website here. This is not you. This is not the picture you took. If you took it personally, once you were there for the training, you took it by your camera. It's okay. It's your picture now. Okay? But if it's from their website or you took it from some of their publications, then you have to refer to that. Okay. Do not just put anything. Okay. Okay. What's wrong here?
Picture doesn't.
Okay. What's the problem?
Not
Number 1 is there is no caption, no number, no caption.
Also
Number
not
2.
Not clear the caption.
Let's talk about this first, and then come back to this one. Yeah. Another issue.
The figure.
In
is,
the-
mentioned.
Yeah, it's okay.
What's the meaning?
Yeah, that's the point. So that's so think like this. If you're thinking like that, you already got the message of this training. Okay. So what's the meaning of this? What is this? That's actually what we are saying once you submit your reports to us. Of course, you are not in front of us, but we are saying, come on, Boaz, what is it? Come on, Islam, what is it? Okay, so we don't want to say these kind of things. Okay, so no caption, no nothing, no details. One more thing: This is not a brochure. You know, you have companies have brochures, and you can put figure anywhere you like. Okay, this is a report, technical report. So the figures have to be in the center. You can't put figure anywhere you like.
For good looking, no.
Yeah, there's nothing like good looking in the reports. You have to follow the standards. If it's there, of course, I'm saying. Okay? So the figure has to be in the center and alone. Figure does not like something on its left and something on its right. Okay? It has to be alone. It likes to stay alone. Okay? So put it somewhere here. Give the caption, give the title. Same issues over here. Something like that. It's on the over here. It should be in the center. Second is the caption itself is not that clear. Third is it's just a figure. Okay? I can't see anything in that. If you can't read anything in that, don't put there in the report. Nobody wants to see it. If I can't read it, why should I see it? It's as simple as that. Okay? And it's not mentioned. You see, this is another problem with most of us. What we do is we try to refer the figure in the text, but in a wrong way, like this. that geographical profile of the earth has been shown in the figure. You just said in the figure, you tried to refer in the text, but in the figure, which figure? There are hundreds of figures in your report. Okay, so although you think like that, I'm trying to refer to this, but that's what you know. I don't know that, which figure you are referring to. So figure number 3.2 mentioned. Okay, so don't just put any figure. That's advice. Okay, don't put everything. No, nobody wants to read thousands of pages. Sometimes you can have 1,000 stupid pages, and sometimes you can have one excellent page. Okay, so you can get the message in one page in an excellent way. You can write thousands of pages, but message is not clear. Okay, so don't try to expand things. Nobody is looking for that. Yeah, another one. So of course the same mistakes, you can see that. If I see this figure, really, you know what comes to my mind is this one. Okay, so I think something like Egyptian language or something. He wants to show me pharaohs and their lifestyle and all these things. Okay, nobody can read anything. Get rid of it. Don't show it. Okay, no need for that.
Maybe sometimes they want to show you the language, just the language
Yeah.
of
Yes. You know, sometimes there's a lot of text in the figures, and you don't want to, but still you want to show this figure. Then in the Word, you have an option to just take this figure to PowerPoint or any other graphing tool or Paint. Then you can draw the lines by yourself and add the text. That this is line 1, this is line 3, this is line 5, line 6, and add the text box. You can do that.
Shall I explain it?
Yeah. You can do that, or you can explain it in the text as well. Okay. Yeah. List of figures. Okay. Like sometimes we say table of figures. It's equally good word, but the problem is the students get the idea that table of figure means the table. Okay. It does not mean table. It means list. So with the table of figures, they think that we have to make a table. Don't make a table. It's just a list. That this is the figure number, this is its caption, and this is the page number where it is. And try to align it on its left. And figure caption, just like I said before, it's not just a word. Like you write over here, viaducts, deck slab. Okay, then what? Deck slab. What is that? So it should be something like deck slab of project number this at line number 2.3, something like that. That means a short description, not just one word. Okay? So the problem with the list of figures is mostly that your captions should not be just one word, and it should be brief explanation. Okay. And almost we are near to the end of this presentation. Plagiarism, and you have a statement in your reports, anti-plagiarism, and you sign it. Is that right? Okay. So academic dishonesty. You know, last time I was correcting a report, and I saw the anti-plagiarism statement, and that guy, what did they do is, they took the anti-plagiarism statement itself from somebody else, and they just reproduced the same title and same names even with their report. The names of the report, the name of even the students were for them, not for the students whose report was that. Okay, so they are signing that we have not done any anti-plagiarism, okay? So be careful. And I hope you know the word plagiarism, is that right or not? Yes. If you're not familiar with that, read this statement. And this Arabic word can explain everything, I think, of that. So in English it means, once you steal, okay, and publication of others' what? Languages, others' thoughts, others' ideas, others' pictures, others' tables, expressions, equations, anything you can, even tweets, even Facebook posts, YouTube videos, anything you take from somebody and you don't give him the credit, okay, that is called as plagiarism, okay? And you know, why do we do that? What's the reason? Why do we do plagiarism? Because, you know, once you try to create something, it's hard. It needs energy. It needs sacrifices. So the path to creation is difficult. The path to plagiarism is very easy. Just copy, paste something and put it in your report. Fine, happy. Okay. So once you try to create something, you will of course have some difficulties, some troubles. So go for this path. You will always gain good at the end. Okay? Plagiarism is easy, but it will not give you anything at the end. Okay? And you will see, only in this picture I put the reference. Although I took a lot of photos from internet to show you guys about this presentation, I didn't write it over here. But because this page is talking about academic dishonesty, so I write the link of this photo. Okay, this is, I told you, I'm going to tell you the mistakes. So you have to see the mistakes, and then you don't have to do that. Okay? Yeah, this is for, of course, I took it from somewhere, so I should have the web link over here. Okay, So I'm stealing their thoughts, and don't do that. That's what I want to give you the message.
Should we put the links in the appendix? Or
No, there is a list of reference at the end, but you should put the reference with the figure itself. I'll show you an example. All right? It's going to come after that.
what the caption?
Yeah, it should be in the caption. Yes, the web link should be in the caption. I'll show you an example of it. Okay. How to avoid it? Number one. First, of course, never take the work of others without giving proper credit. I mean, you have to give them the reference. I'll show you later on how to do that. Never take exact sentences or paragraphs from the literature. Don't just bring the whole sentence in the copy. Even you do it from the websites. You know, we are writing a report on engineering training, and we take a lot of information from tips of website and post it there. Okay, so don't do that. Okay, if you feel that you need a complete paragraph to be written in your report, do it. Okay, but then use what? The quotation marks. And at the end of the quotation marks, there must be the reference that I took this paragraph from here, from this source. Okay, so if you do that, it's fine. It's not plagiarism. But there's an advice there: do this occasionally. You may have. I see a report where this comma starts from the first page, and on 100 page there's a double comma. So all this 100 pages and then the reference at the end. Okay, it's not like that. Do it occasionally at some parts, not everywhere. Not your whole report as a copy paste. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, this point. Over here, sometimes we give you some punishment in terms of the grades only. Okay, if you deserve A+, you did not follow the plagiarism policy, and we may make it A or something like that. But in some, of course, in a lot of good universities, or I should say, where they implement this plagiarism policy, what they do over there is even you can be failed for that course. And there are software engines. As far as you are students, it may be fine, but this is the life to learn. Okay, once you are professional engineers, you have to deal with a lot of information from different sources. You can't own that information. Okay, so once you own that information without giving the proper credit, there are softwares which can identify it, and they are called as plagiarism softwares or something like that. And they can just search over the Google and all these things, and they will tell you that this report has been copy pasted from this source, and this is the percentage of copy paste. They can do everything. Okay, and if they know, of course, it's a big shame once you are as a professional. So try to come up with your mistakes over here, learn from them, and don't do them in your professional life. Okay, so.
There's an example.
Yeah, so this is just the examples to show you that there are many types of references. Okay, the first one is like you can have a journal article. I'm just trying to show you, and this will be your list of references at the end of your reports. At the end, the last part of your report, list of references. And references are of different styles, or different sources. So every source has its own format. It's not like you will be having references and all of them are in the same style. You know that you can have a material from a journal paper, you can take a material from a book, you can take a material from some conference, you can take a material from a website, you can take a material from even a tweet or a Facebook update or a YouTube video. There are a lot of sources from where you can take information. So every source has its own format, right? And this is one of the formats. If you see your graduation project guideline, they have mentioned at the end that how would you write the reference. Okay, yeah, and there are many styles of writing references, but don't worry with that. The only difference you will see would be with these commas and with these full stops, or this like inverted. Sometimes you will see the title is in inverted commas, it's in line text, it doesn't have any space over here, or the first name comes first, the last name comes later. That's the only difference you will see. But the basic information you will always see is what? Is authors. Who are the authors? The full complete name. The year, once this work was published, what was the title of the work, and where was it published? Okay, and what's the number of the pages and the volume and all these things. Okay, this is one example. And similarly, you have sometimes you take something from other reports, from other theses. Okay, so whose thesis was it? Okay, when was it done? What was the title of the thesis? And was it a master's thesis, undergraduate thesis, or a PhD thesis? Okay, and where was it published? Okay, all these things. And you can have a conference paper. So okay, again, who was the authors? Year, the title of your work. What was what was the conference itself? Then where did this conference take place? The volume, the page numbers, from where you took these things. Okay, this is how you can avoid plagiarism and all these things. You can have similarly standards. Sometimes you are writing a lot of test results, and you are writing that this test was done according to AISTM D235. Okay, over there it's AISTM D235, but at the end you should give the details of what is AISTM D235. You have to mention that. So AISTM number, year, Now, what's the title of that standard, and who is the publisher of that standard? All these things. Okay. Then you can have reports, some reports. You can have books, like book. Who is the author of the book? Year of publication, the title of the book, the publisher of the book, and where was it published? Okay.
So, what should I mention next to the information?
Yeah, next to the information, I'll show you now. Real example. This is the list of reference. It's not just the complete what you're going to do in the report itself. I'll show you now that. Before that, I think there was. Okay, it's just going to come after that. I'll answer your question later on. Final advice before we show that. Optimize your times and efforts. Okay, choice is yours. You can do something. For example, if there is a labor standing downstairs and you want to move like 100 or 1,000 bricks to the top of this building, you have two options. One, the labor comes and he picks up the bricks and moves on the stairs and brings it on the top. He can do that in 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. The other option is use a crane. So crane can do it for you. Okay. So now we are trying to optimize things. You are doing the same job, but you are saving your time. You are saving your money. Okay. Time is money now. So save your time. Save your efforts. There are a lot of tools which can help you in all these exercises to improve your reports. One of them is MS Word itself. It's a very powerful tool. We are not familiar with its powers. You know that? Okay. We just use it for typing and printing. That's all. It's a very powerful tool. It can do a lot of good things for you. EndNote is another software. Okay, it's a very good tool again. Let me give you a motivation here. You will see something and you may get some motivation now. That this is the Word, MS Word tool. I'll show you a red example, a bad example, and a green example, a good example. Now, both of these reports, in technical perspective, they are equally good. Okay, this report and this report, they are equally fine, perfectly written, everything is fine. But the time and effort in this is too much. The time and effort is in very much optimized. I will show you how. Okay. Let's go to the first one. Again, I'm saying the bad example with respect to the time and effort he has put in this report. Okay. So I'll go just jump to this is a graduation project. Okay. Okay. The table of contents. Okay. The list of figures, list of tables, everything, symbols. Okay. I'll tell you what I want to show over here. Okay. I want to show two things here. One is this part of the report. Okay. You can see over here, table figure number is there. Fine. Okay. The explanation is there. What is this figure showing? And then where did he took it from? Okay. Now you see it's Kuruto et al. 2010. This is how you refer it. Okay. He took it this figure from a book. Now we don't need to write all the details here. How do I know what is this? Is it a book? Is it a research paper? Is it a thesis or what? How do I know that? I have to go to the list of references. Over there, I will find. You see this word et al. Okay, what does that mean? Anybody knows that? This et al. It's not part of his name. You know, once you have one author, you just like you write. For example, you will write Aziz 2006. You have two authors, Aziz and Islam, let's say. So that's Aziz and Islam 2006. You have now more than two authors. Like for example, me, Aziz, Moaz, we write something together. Now we can't write three names. What I'm going to write is Aziz et al. Et al means the authors are more than two. More than two. Okay. One is okay. You will write one, Aziz. If you are two, Aziz and Moaz, for example, you will write it, Aziz and Moaz. But once they are more than two, you will not write all the names. Because sometimes you can have 4, 5, 6 authors. You can't write that. Then what we write is the word et al. It means what? More than two authors. Okay.
Can we make number one?
Yeah, this is another way. This is one of the way. Yeah, this is one of the way to give the reference. The other way is you can use the parenthesis and then you can write one, and one details of one will be there, which that's equally good. Okay, but refer it. Now, what I want to show you is not about the reference. Now, just imagine a student produced this report. He comes to me and I ask him that. Let me go to figure 2.2.
To add what figure?
Yeah. I hope I can find 2.2 soon. It's not that far from here. Yeah, you can see this equation. This is what I was talking about. Equation. You see that? It has been typewritten in the word editor itself. Equation has a number. Equation must explain what you're talking about. All these things. Okay. Yeah. He just comes to me okay, and I ask him to delete this figure. Okay, he produced all the report. He has figure number 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.40, and so on. And he has created a table of contents that figure 2.1 is on page number 3, figure 2.2 is on page number 7, like that. He has created everything. Now I ask him, Mr. XYZ, I think this figure should not be there in the report. It's unnecessary. Delete it. Okay. So if he has to delete it, you know how much effort he has to put now?
Yes.
He has to, first thing, once he's going to delete this one, if there are 40 figures after that, he has to change the numbers of all. So the next figure will not be 2.3 now, it's going to be 2.2. And it's not only, the story does not end here. He has mentioned this figure in the text at many places. That figure 2.3 is showing that, figure 2.4 is showing that. He has to change all those as well. Okay. So, and then he has to go to the table of contents again, where he has mentioned that figure 2.2 was on page number 10, it was on page number 14, page number 15. So you have to change all those over there as well.
And the dates.
And page numbers and everything. And just imagine the time of the time and effort he has to put in that. And just imagine he has done it, and he comes back to me again, and I'm in a tricky mode, and I say, okay, delete figure 2.3 now. Okay. So just imagine what's going to happen with him. So okay, this is one. Let me show you now a good example. Some of you may be familiar with this already. If not, you can see its benefit, and it's not going to take you more than half an hour to learn this technique. It's called as referencing technique in MS Word. Okay. How does it work? I show you. The previous report is excellent in terms of the content. The problem is his own time and his own effort. Okay, that was more. Now let's say we have this report. Okay, and I ask him to delete this figure. Okay. Now if you see over here, just on top of it, there is some. Yeah, you see that it's mentioned here in the text.
Yes.
Okay. The dams which are constructed is shown in figure 2.2. Okay, it's there. Now I just ask him to delete this figure. You know what's going to happen? Delete it. Of course, I'm going to delete that as well. Okay. Now, what I have to do is I'll just press F9. F9 is kind of an option used for this to update the tables. I should use Control A and then F9. F9. So update page numbers only or update entire table? Okay, entire table. Okay. Entire table. Okay. Now, you see what happened? What happened is, it just gave a message here. Error, reference source is not found. And it should give that message. Because once you're scrolling down your project or your report, you should know that which figure has been deleted. Okay. Now this will tell you that this figure has been deleted. Okay, it's gone. So you will rewrite it something like this over there. And the good thing is, if you go down now, the next figure originally was 2.4. Is that right? Because this was 2.3. I think. So okay. If I go there, I hope I can go back. I don't know why it went just down. Okay. Yeah, you see that? Okay. 2.2.
Yes.
Now you see over here 2.2 again?
Yes.
Why? Because it updated the table. This used to be 2.3, okay? And that was 2.2. 2.2 he showed the error because you delete that figure. Now this is 2.2, and if you see the next figure, it will be automatically updated to 2.2. You see that? Okay, it's 2.2. And the good thing is not only it doesn't end here. If you go back to the tables, see over here. Now you can see still 2.2 is not mentioned over here because we deleted it. Okay. Now don't worry that you have to retype all this again. Just select the table like this way. You just click on button, will select it, and then press F9, and then say update the table. What happened? See that? It updated. Just one click, and even not only updated this thing, it updated everything here also. The page numbers, the captions, everything. So just learning one simple tool which costs you 30 minutes or less can save your hours and days. Okay? And not only for that time, for unlimited time. Whenever you go to your professor, you will be with a smiley face. He'll be worried. The professor will say, oh, why is not concerned? I'm asking him to do this again and again, and he's doing it very quickly. Okay, because you're using some optimization approach. Okay, so use it, guys. Learn it. And there are a lot of videos on YouTube available for this to how to use that simple approach and then apply it in any of your reports. Okay. Okay. So just to conclude, what's in the end? Yeah, some general tips to conclude. Do not write the way you speak. Okay, so like we say, I'm gonna do that. So I can see in your reports, gonna. Okay, so it's a spoken word. I'm gonna do that. So don't use G-O-N-N-A in your report. There's no gonna in English. Okay, in spoken language it's there. Okay, and do not expect your reader that what do you mean. Like I showed you some figures. You know that what I want to show, but it's only you know. I don't expect me to know that. Okay, explain me. Okay? And the last one is do not write in fragments, in pieces. Write pure, clear sentences. Give the message in a very clear way. And then it can make your report very clear, inshallah. So thank you very much. And this is one of my professor, my PhD professor, he wrote it for me actually, that there is always a solution. Life has a lot of problems, but remember there is always a solution.